Today we look at Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians. And there we find the words, "But since we belong to the day, let us be sober and put on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation." In the course of the last several weeks, we have been inundated by news coverage of events that will no doubt shape the future of our nation. The first was in the world of entertainment and the media. The next shoe to drop was in the world of politics. These events are not new. They are simply coming to light. We have become accustomed to hearing reports about the abuse of power in the corporate hierarchy or in our political system. But now we are noticing something different on our societal landscape. We are noticing that people are willing to ignore what is inconvenient and to support for high office those who have engaged in criminal behavior, exploiting both women and children. These events should prompt an examination of our values as a nation and whether these values can provide a solid foundation for the future. In many ways, these are difficult days and challenging times. In 1 Thessalonians, Paul shows us how to remain steadfast in difficult days and in challenging times. Here he says, "But since we belong to the day, let us be sober and put on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation." The experience of truth can sometimes be like a dream. If you don't struggle to remember it, in the morning of a new day, it may be difficult to retrieve. Today, we gather to remember this one truth. We belong to the day. We are children of the light. First, the apostle says that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. It will happen when we least expect it. Now, one of the things that comes to mind when I think of this image is that the Lord always seems to show up. The Lord always seems to appear in places and at times when we least expect him. The Lord appears in many ways, in places and times and circumstances. The Lord appears in the voice of a little child. The Lord appears in the face of a hungry stranger, in the unkempt appearance of a homeless woman. The Lord appears in the body of someone who does not look the way we do. The Lord appears in the valley of desperation, on the mountain of hope, and in the throes of struggle. The Lord appears in ways we least expect. As the Church of Christ, we must somehow recover our sense of urgency about those things that are fundamental to an experience of a truly godly life. We are only mortal. Our feet are made of clay. Therefore, we do not know how many days we have left, nor what those days will bring. If we do not struggle to balance the forces pulling us away from God with the forces pulling us toward God, we will find ourselves regretting our failures to put first things first and last things in their proper place. The second thing the Apostle Paul seeks to share is this: because of what we know, we will not be surprised when the day of the Lord arrives. We know what we know because we believe. St. Anselm, one of the great theological minds of the early church, once said, "I do not seek to understand that I may believe, but I believe in order to understand." Because we believe, we shall not be surprised when the day of the Lord comes. Because we believe, we are children of light. We are children of the day. Belief in God has its own unique power. Belief dispels the darkness. Belief illumines the soul. Belief enlightens the mind. Belief lights the way. Belief opens the door of manifold blessings. Belief shows us how and where and when. Belief is the guide that leads us to the mountaintop. Belief creates the picture worth 1,000 words. Belief allows us to walk through the valley of the shadow of death and to fear no evil. The psalmist said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." I think I might preach today. Jesus said, "Whoever follows me, whoever follows me, whoever believes in me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life." I submit to you today that this light is the light of eternal truth. We are children of light. Let us therefore walk in the light. We have not been called to stumble in the back alleyways of life. We have not been called to stagger in dark places. We have not been called to slip and slide where we can't be seen. I don't think you hear me. We have not been called to walk in the counsel of the wicked. We have not been called to stand in the way of sinners. We have not been called to sit in the seat of scoffers. We have been called to delight in the law of the Lord and to meditate on his law both day and night. We have been called to walk in the light. Somebody ought to say amen. That old spiritual said it best: "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, everywhere I go, no matter where I go, everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine." And the line that I love the most says, Jesus gave it to me. I'm going to let it shine. We are children of light. As children of light, we have been burdened with many moral obligations. We must speak truth to power. We must give voice to the voiceless. We must speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. We must work for justice. We must strive for peace. We must make our ancestors proud. We must be bold enough to call a lie a lie. I don't believe you hear me. I don't believe you hear me. We must be bold enough to call a lie a lie. A recent CNN commercial has an apple at the center of the television screen. The sum and substance of the commercial calls us to remember that no matter how often people say that the apple is something else, it will always remain an apple. We are children of light. Therefore, let us walk in the light. The last thing the apostle attempts to say is this: we must cover our souls with those garments which are necessary for the challenges ahead. Put on the breastplate of faith and love. It allows us to withstand the fierce blows of opposing forces. It will allow us to withstand the fierce blows of disappointing events. Massive, powerful blows to the heart have destroyed lives and rendered many people helpless and powerless. But God has not left us without a shield to keep us safe. And that shield is the breastplate of faith and love. God has not left us without a helmet for the battle. And that helmet is the hope of salvation. When shall the Lord return? Of that day we do not know. But we do know that our lives should be lived with an urgency centered in the gospel. The Apostle Paul says, put on the breastplate of faith and love. Put on the helmet of salvation. Believe that God will grant you grace to endure and power to overcome. Never think that God's delays are always God's denials. Hold on, hold fast, and hold out. If you don't hold on, you'll never hold out. What appears to be the end may only be the dawn of a new beginning. You must believe that your new beginning is on its way. I'm almost through now. You must believe that great things are going to happen in your life. You must believe that the God of Jacob is on your side. You must believe that greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. You must believe that God's power working in you can do more than you can ask or imagine. You must believe that the one who created the earth and the sky is still creating new life in your mortal body. You must believe that the angels are watching over you just like they watched over others. You must believe that the God who saved you is the God who is able to keep you. He is able. Can I get an amen? Amen. He is able. He's able to lift you up. Amen. He's able to give you power. He's able to wipe your tears. He's able to make you run and not get weary. He's able to make you walk and not faint. He's able. He's able. He's able. He's able to do all that he has promised. If you hold on, and if you hold out, the God of Jacob has promised to always be